We were pretty famous back in high school.
Trust us. Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast?
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous.
Like Mario always says, let's a go. It's a me, Mario. Those are the two things he says.
Now, that's the old Mario.
Oh,
We
the
don't-
new Mario
don't-
says a lot more.
Don't get it confused with the new Mario, which sounds just like Chris Pratt talking in his normal voice.
In a
And that's also,
slightly Italian accent
well, I'm worried about
times.
I'm worried about what current generation of kids will think about some of the characters we grew up with, because the beloved Mario was turned into Chris Pratt, and the beloved Garfield was also turned into Chris Pratt.
Yes.
So Chris Pratt seems to be the lock-in for voicing any characters that we grew up with, and so I think that kids
I guess
now are going to all think that all these characters just sound like Chris Pratt.
could be.
What's next? Is he going to... I mean, they just did a Space Jam, so he can't do the voices for all those guys.
No, I think for some reason, I think that would have been far less acceptable.
For him to
because
voice
those
everyone?
Well, to voice characters that already, already have very, very specifically distinctive voices.
Not unlike
like
Mario
that,
and Garfield?
but- yeah. I mean, Garfield, I think the only time Garfield was voiced was at the old, 80s, 90s cartoon Garfield and Friends fame.
There was that, but then there was the movie that came out.
We're not going to talk about the Bill Murray
Well,
Garfield abominations.
But he did like a Garfield-esque voice in a way, right?
I suppose maybe.
You know all
I don't know.
about the him and
Yes.
the Ghostbuster guy swap thing. No?
Wait, maybe not. I thought you were going to talk about something else.
The guy who voiced Garfield in the Garfield cartoon that we grew up with,
Okay.
he voiced Bill Murray's character in the Ghostbusters cartoon.
Oh,
And then they make a Ghostbuster,
interesting. Okay.
or I'm sorry, then they make a Garfield movie, and Bill Murray voices Garfield. It's kind of a funny little
Yeah,
coincidental pairing there.
I thought you were going to bring up the fact that the only reason Bill Murray did the Garfield movie is because he was confused at who the directors were or who the director was.
I wasn't going to say
'Cause
that.
he thought it was like the Coen brothers or something because it was a different Coen, and he got confused as to who it was, so he signed on to do it thinking it was going to be a Garfield Coen brothers movie, which would have been weird.
Do you see the Coen brothers
Very,
movie
very-
making, or the
yeah.
Coen brothers making a Garfield movie anytime soon?
Yeah, it'd be really weird and somehow set in Minnesota.
It somehow would be.
Yeah,
But don't you
not
think?
all their movies are set in Minnesota, but
Don't you think he could have double checked that with anyone, like his agent or anybody else?
Yeah.
Although, doesn't he not have an agent or something?
I think he just has a number you call
That's right.
and you send him, if you want him to be in a movie, you send him the information, and then he
Says yes
verifies
or no.
whether or not he wants to do it. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
he's a
that,
weird dude.
I think he could have done something to fact check that. Like maybe reach out to the Coen brothers and say, "What ideas did you have for this Garfield movie you're making?" And they would have said,
Yeah,
"What are you talking about? We're not making a Garfield movie. That's our cousin, Sanford Cohen."
right.
Speaking of names,
You think that fact checking would be fairly easy to do in that situation.
quite, yeah.
And he did, but then he did the sequel also. So I don't know what the hell's going on.
I mean, maybe the first one made enough money. He's continuing to
Yeah.
appear in Ghostbuster movies. So
yeah, he did. He even appeared in the female one, right?
he did. He
Briefly
cameoed.
as a different character, though, right?
Yeah, that's what's weird about. Did you ever see it?
No, I
That-
heard too many bad things about it that I just refused to watch it at that point.
That's what's kind of weird about the whole thing is I think that they show like the old commercial that they had running in the original Ghostbuster movie. That's like, we're here, or we want to believe you, or something like that, whatever it says. I think that was seen online in the female Ghostbuster movie.
Okay, so the female Ghostbuster movie is supposed to be within the same universe as the original Ghostbusters.
Right, but the three the three living actors who played in the Ghostbusters in the original movie, all three of them cameoed in the female Ghostbuster movie, but as completely different characters.
Okay.
They didn't cameo as their older selves. It's really strange.
Yeah, because from what I understand of the female Ghostbusters movie is that they it's supposed to be basically kind of similar of we're gonna be Ghostbusters and we're gonna make up all this equipment and all this kind of shit. But it's like, if the original Ghostbusters already existed in that universe, wouldn't they just be able to go to them and say, hey, we want to take over the reins of what you guys had accomplished in the 80s? Can we figure out how, what equipment did you use? Be our mentors, instead of just being let's establish our own business. And it's going to be exactly the same as the business that was already established, but we're going to make it seem as if we just came up with all this shit.
To be fair, I could be mixing things up.
Okay.
Because I've seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is the first newer, the one they just came out with was called Frozen Empire or something like that. So the one that came out before that.
Right.
It's possible that maybe them watching the old commercial on YouTube was in that movie and not the girl.
That was in that movie for sure. I know it was in that movie for sure.
So maybe it's not set in the same universe.
Then that would make more sense.
Probably. I mean, it would. I don't know. It's been so long since I've only seen the Afterlife movie once when I saw it in the theater, and then the female Ghostbuster movie I think I've seen twice back when it came out. So that was almost 8 years ago now. So
something. I have no idea.
It's been a bit of time, so I am probably remembering things wrong, but I just remember.
I can tell you for sure that the YouTube thing happens in Afterlife. I know that for a fact.
Then it possibly does not happen in the female.
Okay.
I mean, what do you call that one? It's just called Ghostbusters. So what do you call it? The female Ghostbusters?
I think how people refer to it.
Yeah. The Chris Hemsworth Ghostbusters?
That might be rude.
He's in it.
Yeah.
He works for them.
I from what I've heard is he's the best part of the movie.
He is pretty awesome. And
yeah, I've seen a couple scenes of his in it, and I'm like, all right, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I saw the scene at the end where he just has a sandwich, but can't explain where he got it from or something.
It just gets thrown to him from somewhere. Yeah, he just reaches his arm up and just catches a sandwich. Yeah.
Okay. See, that to me is all right, that's pretty good.
They have
from what I heard, the rest of it's just Melissa McCarthy's the big girl who gets thrown around a lot, and it's just funny because it's funny when heavyset people just are clumsy. So all right,
it has its flaws.
I'm sure there's parts of it that are fine. I heard too many bad things. Once I hear too many bad things about a movie, I'm like, I'm just not going to waste my time watching it.
It could have the reverse effect of when a movie gets hyped up, though. You could be going into it thinking, this is going to be such an awful movie. I have to watch it because of how bad people say it is. And then you watch it and you're like, it wasn't as bad as they said.
I mean, I'm sure I would watch it and be like, yeah, it was fine. But I'm just kind of at this point. I
don't think you would go online and rage. You have to voice your hate.
8 years too late, but
yeah.
Just watched the female Ghostbusters movie. You all were right.
Yeah. I reinforce your toxic opinions. Although those opinions were made up before the movie even came out.
Oh yeah. People were hating on it before it ever came out. And then once it came out and people continued to hate on it, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I just won't even give it a try. But I mean, it's the same way I feel about TV shows a lot of times. It's for instance, I've never watched Game of Thrones. I have heard a lot of great things about Game of Thrones, but then I've also heard about how disappointing the end of it was. So now I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I would love the hell out of the first, whatever, 7 seasons, 6, 7 seasons of Game of Thrones that were awesome. But I already know that it's going to end disappointingly. So why would I put myself through watching the show, falling in love with it, just to know that I'm going to hate how it ends?
Yeah, I think if you didn't watch that somewhere during its original run and then found out organically the way everyone else did that it turned out the way it did, I don't think there's a point for you to start watching it. Like, I don't know that I slept through so much of that I don't remember a lot of it. Or so
you sleep through a lot of stuff,
right? But so whenever I think, gosh, do I want to try to rewatch this? I think same point as yours. I know how it ends, and it doesn't end well. And then the second part is it's just so dense. It just seems like a daunting task to me that I don't want
to. If something's like, oh, it's 5 seasons and it's awesome, and I haven't watched it yet, I'll be like, okay, I'll probably throw that in at some point, and I'll burn through it. But it's like, it's 9 seasons and it ends shitty.
Well, and it's not only is it 9 seasons. I don't remember how many episodes there are per season. Probably somewhere in the area of 10 to 13 or something. But they're all an hour long, basically, or 40 something minutes long. Yeah. So this isn't like back in the day with these 22-minute episodes of TV,
right?
Although those seasons had more episodes too. Maybe it balances out. I don't know. I haven't done the math.
Yeah, you were too busy doing other types of math.
I was. Math. Yeah, I was doing less complicated math.
Yeah, you were figuring out how many walls certain colleges had.
Yeah, that was around that time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So speaking of names, let's knock out this week's. Well, this was relevant a while ago, but and I said at the time, speaking of names, but then you went on to some tangent about something, and so I'm still going to use the same. I'm still going to force the same segue into it. My wife threatened to divorce me if I gave our daughter a silly name, so I called her bluff.
I have a similar setup question or similar setup joke.
Okay, go ahead.
My wife said that she would leave me if I stopped comparing everything to Bruce Willis movies. But you know what they say? Old habits, Pulp Fiction.
I think I've heard you say that before.
Possibly. It's a good joke.
I like it. The misdirect. I like the misdirect.
The misdirect.
Yeah, it's pretty genius. Or ingenious. Well, Matt, what's been going on in your life? In Chi-Town?
You ask me this question every week.
It could be.
I don't know if I've ever given you a different answer.
There could be something.
One of these days, I'm going to blow you away with just some crazy shit that happened.
No, like one time you went to see Seal. That was a story.
True.
You have had stories.
I do occasionally, once every 6 months, get out of the house and do something. No, nothing crazy. I did almost get hit by a car on my bike the other day.
Okay.
On the way to work. That was fun. All the traffic was like lined up at a stoplight, and I was coming through, and there was a different intersection that didn't have stop signs for me, and they left a gap, and this car decided to take the gap as I was coming through the intersection, and I had to stop very suddenly, and then they stopped like pretty close to me. It was probably 3 feet away from the car by the time we both had stopped. And then she looked at me like I was the asshole.
Of course. It's never them.
I'm on a bike. Yeah. It's like I had the right of way, and she decided to cut through traffic.
Yeah, but
she's turn in towards me. So,
but she's in a car though. Like that's more That's more important. The roads are for the cars, Matt.
I should have just let her hit me.
The roads are for the cars, not the bicycles. Go home and play with your toys at home.
Yeah, apparently.
Little boy.
So yeah, that was fun.
What kind of car was it? Could you have survived?
It was an SUV. It was a big SUV. It would have hurt. I don't think she would have killed me. She wasn't going to be going fast enough to have actually killed me, but she would have hurt me. If
she would have killed you, she would have been pissed at you because it was all your fault.
Oh, probably. Yeah. The fun thing is I'm on a bicycle, so no matter what, unless I'm running a red light or a stop sign, it's 100%. It would have 100% been her fault, no matter what, because I had the right of way, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about fourth or fifth time I've almost been taken out by a car now. It's been great.
Well, quit.
I did get thrown over my handlebars one time because a car completely cut me off.
Quit aimlessly just biking around, staring off into the dead space. Pay attention.
I'm such a shitty idiot cyclist. One time I didn't. This dude scared the shit out of me, but I didn't really almost get hit. So I can't remember how close he was to me, but there was this part of a road that had been kind of, how they kind of dig out like the top layer of the road, so you have to like bump down and bump back up.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do that to his car, so instead he decided just to go over into oncoming traffic.
Oh.
All the way to the shoulder as I was coming, and I ended up having to go left around him so that he could continue to ride on the shoulder.
Wow.
Yeah, so that one freaked me out, and a bunch of some of the other cars were like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, you scared the shit out of me, though." And then, the time I got cut off and went over my handlebars was I was coming down, and this guy just suddenly decided he wanted to turn right, so he just got over while I was like a foot away from the back of his car. So I had to slam on my brakes. My back brake didn't stop me fast enough, so I hit my front brake, and my front brake is really good on my bike. And I just went over right in front of a restaurant full of people eating outside.
Did you fly into the way it sounds, you would have flown into the back of the guy's car.
Had I not stopped at all,
you flying over the handlebars. By that point, he was too far away.
He got over and then hit the gas. He had no that person had no idea I was there.
So
at all. That car had no clue I was even there.
So since he got over and gunned it, you maybe would have been fine had you not stopped.
No, had I not hit my brakes at all, he would have hit me 100%.
Okay.
So I was close enough to the car, but by the time he got over and the momentum I was going at, he was going slow enough to the point where I was starting to cross into the this is the back of his car. I was starting to we were starting to kind of overlap each other. And then he got over, I hit my brakes, and then he took off. But literally, I can guarantee you that car had absolutely no idea I was even there at all. They didn't look or anything. They just got over.
Well, they probably made this last minute decision to get over real quick and didn't check behind them. I mean, there could have been another car there.
And they did not even have their blinker on. Yeah. Even after past me and turning, the blinker wasn't even on or anything.
The sad thing is people like that tend to live like full happy lives.
Yeah. I had a guy road rage on me once too.
Did he?
Yeah.
So now this is you on your bike again? Still?
It's me still at my bike. Yeah. So there's this one intersection, and there was a car that was going to be turning right at the intersection. So I went up around on the left side of. So basically, it was, how many lanes was it? There was a left turn lane, there was a straight lane, and then there was a right. Oh no, I think it was just a straight lane straight and a right turn lane.
Okay.
So the car at the front of the line was turning right. So I'm not going to go to the right side of that car. So I go up onto the left side of that car. So the car behind him took offense to me coming up on the left side of the cars. But as soon as that car, as soon as the light turned and that car starts to turn, I biked real quick and then I got way over to the shoulder again.
Yeah.
But, I'm not going to be on the right side. That car's turning. Now I'm impeding that car from turning. I'm going straight.
Yes.
That guy got super pissed off, started screaming at me as he drove by me. I'm like, whatever. He flies way up, catches the next light. I bike back up and he's still screaming at me. And I'm just like, fuck you, dude, whatever. I don't give a shit. He then, as we're going through the next intersection, actually swerved at me.
Ooh.
Got within a couple feet of me and then turned in front of me and blocked me.
Wow.
And was freaking out and shit. And I was about ready to just go crazy on him. But eventually I just ended up turning down a different road and he just kept going straight. I'm like, fuck that dude. What a psychopath.
Yeah. Sad thing is that guy probably hasn't been like mangled or anything. He's probably completely fine.
No, I'm sure he went home and took it out on his wife.
You think he's married? No, you're right.
Well,
Like
whoever might be at his house, he took maybe a dog.
no, you're right. Gigantic like assholes are always married for some reason. They find women who will tolerate that
Unfortunately,
attitude.
unfortunately, there are too many women that do unfortunately put up with that shit, whether they want to or not. They get conditioned in some way to tolerate asshole people. And you know what? You don't need to, because there's help out there from a sponsor that we don't have that Sean likes to mention constantly.
Yep, it's called BetterHelp. They can help get you paired up with a licensed therapist. It's cheaper than traditional in-person therapy. And if you find out that the therapist you're paired with isn't working out too well, you can easily request a switch. No awkward conversations about switching therapists. And I don't know what the ads go into after that.
And if you want to get some sort of discounted first use, go online and find some sort of user code that we don't have.
Find a promo code.
Yep. There's a bunch out there.
Several other podcasts have them.
Maybe like Mr. Beast or
I'm sure they have one.
Or somebody else has one, I'm sure.
I'm sure you just go to betterhelp.com/ and then type in the name of your favorite content creator, and there will probably be a promo code for them. Be it MKBHD, be it the game theorists. I
know Pit Reddit does it.
Okay. There's probably a TESD code for it. Or Fly. Try Fly.
Yeah.
For Fly on the Wall.
And maybe eventually HS Famous.
HS Famous.
I mean, you could try it.
Type it in, see if it pops up. Try HS Famous, HSF Pod. Try different versions of it. HS Famous Pod, High School Famous. Try all of them.
Yeah.
Go to coupon.com and see if you can get something.
And if one of them works,
send
please
us some money. Yeah. That means someone's using our name as a promo code, and we're not getting anything from it. So I think we're supposed to get a little tiny chunk of each one of those if we had a promo code.
We'd get they pay us for ad revenue.
Yeah.
Stuff.
We know all about that because we deal with that stuff all the time.
Oh, constantly. It's the amount of emails that we have to just ignore.
Yeah.
Because there's so many ads coming in that we don't have time for them all. Our whole show would just be ads.
I know. We had to say stop. We want to be able to actually have a show that is a rambling conversation about anything that sprinkles into our brains at the moment.
Yeah.
We can't be boggled down.
No, thank you, MeUndies.
No, thank you, Casper.
Yeah. Back off, Factor.
Manscaped. Factor.
Yeah.
Fracture?
Factor.
What's Factor?
It's like a food service thing. I send you meals.
I was thinking of Fracture, which is like the glass. Basically, like you can get an image printed on glass or something and have it sent to you in a frame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but back off, both of those guys. Blue Apron.
Yeah. Get out of here, AutoZone.
Yeah, what? I don't think they do a lot of podcast ads.
Go away, Walmart.
But either way, don't even try it. Pepsi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reebok.
Get out of here.
Are there still Reeboks?
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. They just. Yeah.
Well, don't even try reaching out to us, Reebok.
Yeah. Home Goods. Get away.
Does Home Goods even do commercials?
I don't think
so. I know
so.
TJ Maxx does. Because trust me, we've gotten emails from TJ Maxx and we said, delete.
Yeah.
Make a rule.
Get out of here, Circuit City.
Yeah. I send those right to the trash. I created a rule.
Companies that no longer exist.
Yeah, come on.
Radio Shack.
So long, Zuba. I don't know.
Zoomies?
Zoomies? Well,
Yeah,
Zuba's.
Zuba's the pants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know they had a resurgence.
Bagosh.
Are they not around anymore?
They're still around.
Oh. I thought we were naming, come on, get out of here, Saturn.
It's just a funny name.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Who comes up with Oshkosh Bagosh?
Yeah.
Have some goulash.
It's like a weird like law firm. Oshkosh and Bagosh.
Law firms need to come up with more catchy names versus just the last names of all the partners.
Right.
You know? And why do they, like, does anyone with a normal sounding last name ever want to be a lawyer? Schwabel, Getz, and Sieben?
Yeah. I think it'd just be cool if two lawyers with both the last name Johnson would start a law firm. So they could be Johnson and Johnson, and then they would have a whole legal issue with the company that's already Johnson and Johnson.
A law firm having a legal issue from the jump based on the name they chose. Mm-hmm. Good move. Smart move.
Yeah.
Maybe people would respect them for trying to take down Big Johnson and Johnson.
Big Johnson. I was hoping you were going to stop it. For trying to...
Why would I stop?
Big Johnson. That's great.
He's trying to take down. I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I remember last time I tried to take down a Big Johnson and Johnson. Whew.
Ooh, you gagged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a gag order in place for sure.
Sure. It was what was requested of you.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a reaction to it.
Got a sore throat from all the
delegation. I have gone bowling.
Yeah, what have you been up to?
I've gone bowling a couple times recently because I sign us up every year now for the last 3 years straight, I think, for this Kids Bowl Free. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of Kids Bowling Free. I didn't know there was a specific thing called Kids Bowl Free.
There's something called Kids Bowl Free. It usually runs from like May 1st to August 31st. And you basically sign up with a participating bowling alley. And
right.
Any kid that's between the ages of something and whatever else, you can sign them up.
Those are ages.
And then that kid will be able to play 2 free games of bowling every single day throughout the course of the summer. And then you as an adult, like a parent or a guardian, if you want to also play free games, you just have to pay a one-time fee to sign yourself up since you're not a kid. And, if you go 3 times, it easily pays for itself, maybe even 2 times, because I think it's like $35. So you got 2 players playing 2 games of bowling every day. It easily pays for itself. The only thing you got to pay for is like shoe rental and stuff. So
you can literally go every day, 7 days a week.
Yep.
Wow.
You can. So
even if you go once a week,
yeah,
that pays for itself within the first 2 or 3 times you go.
Easily. Yeah. We've gone twice already this year. So it's pretty much paid for itself. But anyway, the bowling alley I would go to, I started to complain because it seems like there was always some issue with the ball return. Like we would bowl our bowls. I don't know. We would take our turns, and then sometimes sometimes we would sit there for 5, 6, 7, even 10 minutes waiting for the balls to come back.
Okay.
And so I finally said, hey, there's a problem with our ball return again, and this happened the last time I was here. I would like to be put on a lane where there's not an issue with the ball return, please. And so he's like, I don't know. We haven't been having any problems before you got here. So I'm like, well, so he went back and like did something to get him sent up. And then he looked at my ball. He's like, yeah, the problem is your ball. I'm like, what are you talking? What's wrong with it? And he's like, have you ever had this thing like cleaned, like, resurfaced? I'm like, no. What does that mean? He's like, yeah, over time, it's a porous surface. They absorb the oil on the lanes. And after a while, you have to get them cleaned off because A, it doesn't hook as strong anymore. It's too slick to hook really sufficiently. And B, the ball catch thing can't like grab onto it and pull it back. So It was my fault. And
So you're
so
using your ball.
I'm using my ball. And I've had this thing for at least 8 years. I would think I've had it for longer. And I've never done anything to it aside from get one of those like cloth things that you clean it with, like maybe in between games or whatever. So they did their magic on my ball, and I picked it up today. So next time I go, I'm really gonna. Yeah, I know, just the one. But I'm really curious to see how it performs the next time I hit the lanes.
Right.
That's one thing I've been up to.
I have not been bowling in a long time.
I was surprised because we went once, and then Leo, he said a couple of days later that he wanted to go again, and that's not like him. So
he's usually like he doesn't maintain focus on things.
Well, just not on a few things, yes, but it's hard for me to get him to do other things that that are outside of the couple things he likes to do all the time.
Right. I understand that.
Yeah, you relate to that?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay.
It's really hard to get me to do new shit.
I'm different than you.
Yeah.
I like trying new things because I like to experience all different kinds of things, life-wise.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I used to be a lot more. I used to have much more of a lust for life, as it were. And then as I've gotten older, I've just, I've developed more mental instability with wanting to try new things and be, say, a part of society.
Well,
around people.
You could talk to someone about this if you go to betterhelp.com/hsfamouspod, and it'll bring up an error that I can't find that website, and then you will.
And then I can just continue on and pay full price.
Correct.
Yes.
Or you could just.
Now I've definitely contemplated, but not at all looked into doing that.
Well, the real hard thing about that is you have to be in the mental. You have to go into it going, I'm open to whatever this is. And because if you go into it thinking, all this therapy and all this other, it's all BS. Like, why?
I definitely don't think that. I don't think therapy is bullshit at all. I guess my biggest hang up is just doing it. It's just like actually, and I think that's probably the hardest part for a lot of people is taking that initial step of like, okay, I'm going to actually do this.
You know what I think is the hard part for a lot of people also? The fact that it's really expensive, A.
Usually, yeah.
And B, they seem to just only want to work when regular people work. So if you want to book any sessions with them, you have to like take time off of work to go do it because good luck finding someone that's working after normal working hours. Like on a Thursday at 6 p.m., good luck. Unless they're, especially anyone that's like pretty well established, because I think someone that's maybe newer to it and is trying to gain clientele will probably be more willing to work more off hours and make themselves more available. But that just means maybe they don't have the same amount of experience. So it's
that's what's good about things like BetterHelp or just, doing things remotely now is that there is more of availability than there ever used to be when it comes to therapy and shit.
That's true.
So I don't know. Eventually I'll probably just have to try it at least just to see if it can actually like improve things for me.
Well,
we'll see.
I mean, I don't know what your sort of hangups or apprehensions are with like say going out and trying new things or being more out there. But I mean, a therapist is just going to suggest that you try it.
Well, they'll give you tools and advice of just like what you can do to try to.
If you start feeling a certain way,
issues,
right,
because my biggest thing, and it's really weird how it all kind of started because it was like it basically all kind of started right around COVID time. Is when all of a sudden, for whatever reason, I just developed ridiculous anxiety for shit. Yeah. And what sucks is that the way my brain particularly works, and I'm sure a lot of people's brains work this way as well, is I have a very logical centered brain of like, oh, that's happening because of this. Like most things can be explained as to why they're happening. So having a logical brain, but also having ridiculous anxiety about stuff sucks because my brain is constantly fighting itself of like knowing that my anxiety is a ridiculous thing that's happening. So my brain's also going like, yeah, but you know that like this bad thing that your brain is trying to make you think is going to happen won't actually happen, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do know that. But then at the same time, my brain's like, yeah, but you know it could happen, right? And I'm like, and it just keeps going back and forth. So yeah, so it's just it sucks because like, and like the other thing too is like I can go out and do stuff. Like my biggest thing is I just don't like being in large crowds of people.
Sure.
Like that just kind of like it just irks me now.
Just
and
don't go to the Million Man March.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with because of how COVID happened and everything, and it was just like, no, stay the fuck away from people. And then there was a lot of people that were just like, nope, fuck it, we're gonna still be in crowds and do stupid shit, and that kind of just started getting to me. And then I think once everything kind of started loosening up and people were out and about again, I just kind of was uncomfortable being around a lot of people because I got very used to just not being around people anymore.
So,
so I think that's how a lot of it started. But now, I can go and be around crowds, but I have a threshold that eventually I'm just like, all right, I'm done with this. I need to go. And it also has a lot to do with like company I'm with. Like if I'm with just one person, that threshold, like if I'm by myself, that threshold hits real quick. If I'm with one person, it takes a little longer. If I'm with a bigger group of people that I know, I can last a lot longer because there's more distraction of people. And I can kind of bubble myself and things.
It could, the more people that are with you, it can kind of create a bigger barrier between you and the strangers, you know?
So, and oddly enough, being a person who vapes helps me stay out longer too, because if I'm in like, say I'm in a bar setting, which I've always hated bar settings way before my anxiety issues. I just don't like bars. But if I'm in a crowded bar, I can go, I'm like, I'm going to go vape. I'll go step outside, take like 10 minutes to just be by myself for a little while, kind of reset. And then I can come back in and I'm like, okay, I got more time now. I can last longer. So that helps. Oddly enough, vaping can be a good thing. Kids, get those delicious flavors.
I've heard it relaxes you, calms your nerves.
It does and doesn't at the same time. It can, and then it also makes things. It builds stress as well. So
I know.
Yeah, having late in life anxiety is been a weird challenge to deal with in my life. So.
I think like most things like that, it's just got to be small steps. You know, it's not like let's say you start seeing a therapist and then you do one session. It's not like after that you're going to be able to go, all right, let's go and, you know.
Oh, yeah. No, the thing about therapy is
I'm going to go into a mosh pit.
It's basically a lifelong commitment with therapy. It's
no one goes, I'm done.
Nobody's like, I completed therapy.
Yeah. Here's my chip.
I got it. Here's my certificate and my graduation ceremony of therapy.
Yeah. Here's a picture of me receiving my degree from the headmaster. And
I think it either gets to the point where it's just not doing anything for you anymore and you decide to stop it, or your therapist retires or dies and you just decide not to get a new one. Or whatever, but therapy is just kind of those things, and sometimes it is just kind of I think a lot of times it's just a thing of like, hey, this is a non-biased person that I don't have a personal relationship that I can just unload all my shit on, and they're just going to listen to me and give me advice. Or also, I think, I don't know if therapists really will tell you like, oh no, you're wrong, but they'll tactfully tell you you're wrong if you are. But they won't be afraid to tell you, hey, what you're doing isn't cool. Whereas like a person in your friend group or that's a relative might be more afraid to tell you you're wrong. Or
they're not going to have any apprehensions about saying, hey, the way you're going about this can be destructive and toxic or whatever it is. Well, the way you're handling this is going to be harmful to yourself mentally. So let's try these other things out and see if that heeds better, that brings better results. So yeah, you're right.
Because what's the worst thing that happens? You drop, you get dropped as a therapist from them, and then they just get somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is if you don't like what you're hearing from your therapist, either switch your therapist, or maybe you're the asshole that's unwilling to listen to the fact that you're wrong about something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I a long time ago, I started going to see this one person. It was one of those where the through my company, through the mental health offerings, like the coverage that you can get, you can go to you can do like 3 free sessions or something.
Okay.
And so I don't know how I found this person, but this person was just basically being just incredibly agreeable. Like everything I said was, she like completely supported and just agreed with everything I was saying or doing that I was saying. Okay. And so I'm like, this doesn't feel.
Well, I'm glad you noticed that. Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. Like, wait, they're just being way too yesy to this. Like,
yeah,
I would like if I felt that was true, I almost would want to just test it and just say some really crazy shit and just be like, yeah. You're right. And then be like, okay, this is not the right person for me.
So I think the best way to express when someone is irritating me is to bend all of their fingers backwards to the point where they are writhing in pain.
Oh yeah, no, that's
yeah. I mean,
that's a very healthy way to express yourself.
Some people, that's the only way, the only language they know. So you have to speak their language to get them to listen. Yeah. That's how it works.
That's like a form of sign language.
That's very, very observant and insightful of you to notice that that's how they will react, and that other ways aren't going to get through to them. So good on you for that.
Yeah,
I totally encourage.
Bad therapist.
That's
a bad therapist.
I liked that therapist. I liked someone supporting my idea of breaking people's bones as a way of communicating to them that I'm irritated.
Interesting.
So you're saying that's a bad? So I don't want to. I would say that's a bad therapist. If you think that way, then I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm dropping you.
Oh.
Yep.
Well,
you're dropped.
Unless you leave this call, Sean, you're stuck here because I control it.
I can't. Yeah, I would have to quit the browser. I can't click leave session. It's grayed out for me.
Oh, while we're recording, you're stuck here.
Yeah, again, browser could just close it, or I could just get it and walk out.
You've done it in the past.
Yeah, but this could be on purpose.
Usually unintentionally.
Whoops.
Usually, I think it's always been unintentionally. I don't think you've ever intentionally closed the browser.
No, I've never
saying screw this guy.
No, anyone who listens regularly knows I've suffered through episodes that I did not want to be a part of to the end, and I saw them to the end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Remember the last time that happened? And then later you're like, it was actually pretty good.
It was like a show that I was told was terrible, or a movie, and I didn't want to watch it. And then I watched it later, and I'm like, it's not as bad as I said it was.
Yeah.
So,
I think most of the episodes that we have suffered are like we've each suffered through. Sometimes we go back and we're like, all right, I had enough good moments in it to make it still okay.
It counts.
Yeah,
it's a legal episode. It's a legal episode.
We recorded it. We're obligated to release it.
Yeah, that's one thing we haven't done, right? We've never not released one.
Just the very first thing we ever recorded.
Yes, but that was a test run.
Yeah,
that would be like
if you want to hear that episode, you're gonna have to beg for it.
No, so
it's not that it's bad, it's just boring.
When we release the entire, it's not as riveting as this, guys.
Yeah. I mean, if any episode that we've released that you think is boring, add like times 10, and that's the first episode.
It's a factor of 10 more boring than that was.
It's probably not even that bad. I haven't listened to it in a long time.
No,
so I don't remember what's all in it.
Once we release the entire collection on vinyl, we're going to include that as a bonus episode.
How many vinyls would that be?
I don't know.
We would probably get 2 episodes per vinyl, one on each side.
Can a record? No, because
regular. How many minutes can a record be?
Regular albums that are like 60, 70 minutes. Those are on usually a front and back, right? They're not all on one side
so
even.
maybe one per. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one per actual record.
That's a lot of vinyls.
That's a lot of vinyls. And because we're not even done making the show yet.
Yeah.
Right. We don't know whenever it ends.
Happen.
Oh, yeah. We're not going to do this forever. We're going to die.
Well, speak for yourself.
I'm not going to do this forever.
Eventually, you will die.
I'm declaring this
however,
now.
Yeah.
You're gonna,
live forever.
You're gonna do all the sci-fi stuff all the cliche sci-fi stuff. You're gonna upload your consciousness into some kind of computer.
Yeah. The guy that's complaining about how miserable his life is half the time.
I'm gonna keep going.
Issues. I'm gonna live forever. I'm
Well,
gonna suffer through this shit to the point where everybody I know that actually keeps me sane throughout my life will be dead, long gone, and I will still be here then with no one.
Well,
except
I would
for maybe a therapist.
I would say this. I would say the people that you've chosen to keep you sane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are much better people out there that you could find to sort of start from scratch and find new people to keep you sane that are much more well-rounded and not as dickish as
that's my current friend group.
Yeah.
You included.
Me included. Yes.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I remember like several occasions where I haven't done this in a while, but I'll pick someone up Ubering and then I'll hear the conversation they have with each other in the back. I'm like, wow, they're all very like mature and considerate, and they talk nicely to each other and they have actual adult conversations. I guess there are real people like that.
I mean, we've had real adult conversations before. I just
like
feel
real
like
adult.
I think there's a big difference too of like making friends when you're young versus making friends as an adult. Like making friends as an adult, you probably have more of an adult relationship with your friends.
Yeah, I'm guessing
making friends with the people we made friends with when we did, which was basically we were pretty much all teenagers, I think, when everybody that we still kind of know and hang out with. Yeah, we're all dicks to each other because we've known each other for 20 plus years, and that's just the established relationship we now have.
Yeah, it was. So, I mean, some of us would have met each other before 10th grade, but the most recent would be probably 10th grade. Excluding a couple people, like obviously Iman, you met after 10th grade, but the folks that we've had on all 10th grade or prior. No one after 10th grade, I should say. We probably met them then, right?
On the podcast, other than like Scott.
I'm talking about the people we regularly talk to.
Oh, yeah, no.
Your
for
Snooze,
sure.
your Mark, your Eric, your Travis,
Josh,
those guys.
Adam, who we've had on as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, we don't regularly hang out with Adam,
right?
But I guarantee, like, it was funny because, having him on, we were still just dicks.
We were.
Yeah, we're still just fucking with each other because it's what we do.
He takes it well. He handles it.
He takes it. He deals it back. Yeah,
he does.
It's all good. We aren't adults towards each other often.
It's it's some people show that they care about you in very specific ways.
Yeah, and we do it by you
rip on each other. And we're
roasting each other, and
we're not the only ones. Don't act like we're the only ones. There are plenty of groups of friends out there that the way they act around each other is they just rip into each other and make fun of each other all the time.
Yeah.
Any group of friends that are from Boston
or
end of sentence,
America,
or there are kinder parts of America. Like, you go down south.
You think the South is a kinder part of the country?
Just there's some friendlier, like more hospitable types.
Yeah, there's pockets.
They exist. I'm not talking again. We're not talking about everybody. You tried to make it America.
I will never make it every single person. I'm just saying. Well, you said Boston specific. Like you're saying everybody in Boston does that to each other?
Well, it's very common.
I was saying in general, you could go anywhere in America and find groups of people that act this way.
Okay.
Is what I was saying.
You could, I don't know if you would want to apply that to the world. Maybe.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
It'll be harder. It'll be harder to find, depending on what part of the world you're in, it'd be harder to find groups like that, but they're probably there.
Maybe. Yeah.
trying to remember. There's something else I thought I was going to say I was up to or something.
Yeah, you went bowling.
Yeah, that was that one thing.
Yeah.
So
So
what else?
basically, my week consisted of me almost getting hit by a car, and yours consisted of you going bowling and not being able to get your balls back.
But they're back now.
Yeah.
The man handed my ball to me earlier today.
Yeah, he did his magic on your ball.
He worked his,
Yeah.
and now it feels better.
Yeah, it's a little stickier on the lanes.
Yeah. It was warmer.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And
Not as slick.
my fingers fit the same.
Well, yeah, I would imagine he
I
didn't
actually
do anything with balls.
I actually didn't test that, but I'm assuming they didn't do anything to that.
You didn't finger your holes to make sure you didn't mess with them?
I didn't. I figured I would have noticed right away when he was messing with them.
Just visually?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know exactly what they look like.
You would have seen right away if he had tampered with your
Oh,
holes.
yeah. I know them back and front, inside and out, top to bottom, barrel to...
Have you tested your ball since he worked his magic on it?
No, I just picked it up earlier today and came home. I even said to Leo, I'm like, are you sure you don't want to go bowling? He's like, no, not right now.
So next time you go bowling, I'm sure it'll feel a lot different.
Yeah, I'm really curious, actually, to see how well it hooks now.
Have you been having trouble hooking it lately?
It seems like it doesn't hook as much. So you have to go a lot more of a straight shot with just a little bit of hook to try to get a strike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and more gutter balls and stuff.
See, I've never owned my own ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I always just use the balls that are available to me.
Alley balls.
And yeah, I've never really had much of an issue with getting them to hook. I don't know how well they keep them maintained. I don't imagine they keep the balls.
I mean, they all look like they're beat up. They all look like they've seen some shit, but
chunks out of them. And
well, those balls are not hook balls. Those are all straight balls, so they're not made to hook. So you're putting a much more aggressive spin on it than you would a standard hook ball. Yeah, you haven't had trouble because I used to do it that way. I saw this kid 2 lanes over, like he's bowling two-handed to really flip that ball over as he lets go. Yeah. And yes, he was accurate with it, but it's like if you ever switch to having your own ball that's a hook ball, it's not going to work that way. You're going to have to relearn how to throw the bowling ball to be able to get a proper hook ball to hook the right way. But I was guilty of that way back when, before I had my own ball. You just crank the straight ball as hard as you can. And it takes a lot less effort with a hook ball to get it to hook because they're designed. There's some sort of off balance sort of setup on the inside of the ball that makes it hook over easier.
Indeed.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know what the setup with Eric's ball was, but that ball, when I tried it out, I was killing with that ball.
He has his own ball.
Oh yeah. So I don't remember.
Why don't he and I go bowling more often, or at all?
I don't know. I don't know if he still has it. He had it for a while, but I don't know what bowling alley we were at, where we were or anything. But I had bowled a few frames like I normally do, and then I was just like, let me try. Like I asked if I could try his ball. He's like, yeah, go for it. So I threw it, strike. I'm like, I like this ball. Threw it again, strike. I threw 9 strikes in a row with his ball.
What?
Yeah. 9 strikes in a row with his ball. But I had already played a few frames prior to that, and a few of the balls I threw after that were after that frame, or after that game was over. I just threw a couple extra outside of a game. So I ended with it was a 242 that I ended with. And I'm just like, I wish I would have started with this ball. I don't know what it was. The ball, the lane, everything was just perfect. For some reason, I was just throwing strike after strike after strike with that thing.
Do you remember how heavy it is?
It wasn't a very heavy ball, maybe 12.
See, mine's 15.
Maybe more than that. I'm not sure.
Mine's 15, and sometimes I think I should have gotten a slightly lighter ball.
That's a pretty heavy ball.
Yeah.
I usually bowl with like somewhere between 10 and 12, depending on how well I'm getting it to curve or hook.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of switch it up. I usually, because I used to always have to try to find whatever ball I could use that had big enough finger holes,
Yeah.
which are usually the heavier,
heavier ones. Yeah.
Yeah. But now it doesn't matter. I can throw any ball because I literally only put my middle finger in the thumb hole, and that's how I bowl.
Completely not proper, but yes.
Yeah, but it works.
Oh, I've done it.
There's bowling balls with no holes.
There are?
So, yeah, you can get a bowling ball with any number of holes you want.
12?
I mean, that'd be stupid, but you could.
Can I basically get like a wiffle ball as a bowling ball?
I don't think that would knock the pins down.
There's just holes. Not an actual wiffle ball, but
Okay.
Just saying there's holes all the way around it.
Okay.
You can create your own arrangement of holes depending on how you want to throw it.
I think too many holes will eventually make the ball not very round. It would have too many flat surfaces.
Yeah, that would happen.
Yeah.
But golf balls are dimpled, and that's to make them more aerodynamic.
Yeah, well, you're not throwing the bowling ball through the air to the pins.
I would adjust my throw so that that's what I would do. If I got a bowling ball that was basically 75% holes, I would just start pitching it like a baseball or a wiffle ball, if you will.
So you'd basically be bowling as if you were Janine Garofalo's character in The Mystery Men.
I'll take your word for it.
You've seen that movie.
Yeah, but do you think I remember, especially a strange detail like that? I saw it once, maybe.
That was her whole superhero gimmick. Was her dad's skull was in the middle of a bowling ball, and she would throw she'd throw the bowling ball around to hit people with it, and the ball would like fly around on its own because her dad's like spirit was in it or some shit.
Okay, I have no memory of that movie, so
it's a great movie.
So yeah.
I can't remember what her character's name was, though.
So, you know how we, not last week, but the week before, we took a week off, sort of impromptu?
Yes.
This week, so our old pals, I thought we were being copied. Our old pals at A.O.N.
I figured you were going to mention A.O.N. when you said our old pals and copied. I'm just kidding.
Their episodes drop on Wednesdays, right?
Correct.
A day after ours. And this week, Wednesday comes and goes, and there's no episode.
What?
Yeah. And then Thursday comes and goes, and there's no episode. I'm like, those bastards.
They copied us.
We took a week off. They noticed, and then they decided.
Jenna listened.
Yeah.
Or didn't, because she realized there was no episode and said, hey, those guys took a week off.
We should do it too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, the audacity.
I know. But then Friday came and then they dropped an episode.
I think they probably realized maybe this wasn't a good idea.
They got scared. They don't have the bravery that we do to skip a week. They're prisoners to their listeners. Cowards. We live our own lives.
They are fucking cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we should either have them on again or we go on their show. And we should do, and I'll talk to you more about this, but we should do a vilification episode where we'll have to write insult jokes at them, and they'll have to write some insult jokes at us, and we can go back and forth. I don't know who will judge it, but we'll figure it out.
I think James, he seems to be the one that's involved in that heavily.
I think James still does vilification.
He does.
But I know Salsa and Jenna have done vilification. They used to be members. I don't think they still do, but I know they definitely used to be vilification people.
Well, I know that out of the two of us, I'm the one that listens to A.O.N.
Right.
And so I know that James is the one that's still involved.
Right.
So I would imagine of the three of them, he might be best suited to judge.
Okay, so then we'd have Salsa and Jenna write insult jokes for us, and then we'll write insult jokes towards them. They don't have to be specifically about them, but they're just jokes that we can discuss it more and figure it out.
I mean, it'll be easy for us because obviously, if it's between Salsa and Jenna, like one of them's a male and one of them's a female. So obviously, if you write a bunch of female jokes, they're going to be toward Jenna and vice versa.
Well, the way with Vil works is you can still write female jokes and throw them at a guy. You just say his wife is this type of person or his mother is that type of person.
See, I've never been involved with this, so I'm not sure how well I would do.
Well, yeah. Well, no, this is why me and you can powwow about it and I can get you up to speed. I know it enough just for the fact that I did it.
Yeah.
So But I think that would be kind of a fun thing to do. It wouldn't take up a whole episode, but it'd be a fun little part of an episode, maybe.
A segment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like the I can't think of the names of the different segments of an ant.
Like the thorax.
Sure.
Or like you're saying, like what are the, like, what is it called that they have different sections? Or
no, what the different body segments are called. Okay. Thorax was one of them?
I believe so.
And then what? Torso or I don't know.
Butt? I don't know. The butt.
The butt.
The butt, the head.
And the thorax.
The thorax, the anthrax, and the Colfax. The stone axe. The straight facts. Trust.
Anyway, I still can't think of another thing I was up to, but I know there was another thing. So we're going to end the show here now.
Oh.
Unless you have something, because it's...
No, I'm just going to be alone again.
Yeah? Well, it sounds like that's how you prefer it.
You know me better than I thought.
Trust.
See you next Tuesday.
Send off.
If you have a question, complaint, or threat for Sean or Matt, you can reach us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, X, or Instagram at hsfamouspod, or you can email the show at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. No animals were pleasured during the making of this podcast, despite our best efforts. All hail our Lord and Savior.
I mean, I remember the last time I tried to take down a Big Johnson.
I'm trying to remember. There's something else I thought I was going to say I was up to or something.